Thank you for joining us today. Are you ready to breathe, move, and flow? This self-compassion, a mind and body Pilates approach, is designed specifically for a teenager's growing body and mind. Yet, anyone can benefit from this full body Pilates class. Today, we are leading you through a Pilates class that will aid you in practicing mindfulness, activating bilateral stimulation through tapping, and strengthening your relationship with self-compassion. As with any of our classes, consult with your primary care doctor to ensure you are ready to begin a Pilates class. Throughout this class, you'll be cued to tap. Tapping looks like this. Practice with what speed of tapping works best for you. Follow Kim in the class for tapping cues and examples. The reason for tapping is to activate bilateral stimulation, which helps with integrating memories on a deeper level. Start with putting a hand on your chest and on your stomach. Take a deep belly breath. In through your nose, hold your breath for 2 seconds at the top, and slowly exhale out through your mouth. Make each exhale longer than each inhale. Repeat 3 times. If at any point feelings become negative during the class, return to this deep belly breathing. When ready, follow Kim for your first roll down.
To begin with roll down, we'll stack the shoulders over the hips. Pull the belly button in towards the spine. Now I want you to round the shoulders and sink down towards the floor, letting your hips fall back, drift back to stack over your ankles. Take an inhale and an exhale.
Notice what you feel in your body as you roll down. Is there anywhere you would like to put special attention? Taking a moment to let your body hang heavy and swing your arms from side to side. Throughout this class, be patient with yourself and listen to what your body is needing. If you need to stop and rest at any point, please do so. If your mind begins to wander, gently bringing it back to this moment. The notion of an unwavering mind is a fantasy. You have to practice. You cannot just decide to have unfettered attention. Today we are going to practice. Recognizing your first practice today of self-compassion. By choosing to participate today, you are practicing being compassionate with yourself. As you roll on up,
We'll begin with footwork in Pilates B. We'll glue the heels together, keep the padded portion of your heels and toes anchored, and begin to bend and extend the knees. Let the shoulders and the pelvis glide straight down and straight up. For an added challenge, you may elevate the ankles and keep them lifted as you bend and extend both knees.
Think of a friend who has had a hard time. How did you treat that friend in their time of need? Did you judge them, call them names, scold them? Or were you kind, gentle, and patient? Were these acts of kindness false and disingenuous, or were you sincere?
We'll transition into lunge with hip hinge. Your right leg steps forward and the left leg steps back. Legs are separated hip width distance apart. You're going to soften your front knee and raise the back heel away from the floor. Keep a heaviness in your front heel, a light back foot. You'll begin to hinge at the waistline, keeping your lower body still. Lean forward to a diagonal and sit back up into neutral. Repeat 7 to 10 times, holding your lunge with the low body.
Now think about how you communicate with yourself in your times of need. What thoughts go through your head? How do you feel after you talk to yourself? Now imagine if you treated yourself and communicated with yourself the same way as you treated that friend. What would life look like? Having the same compassion you have towards others and turning that compassion on yourself, now that is the art of self-compassion.
Let's switch legs. Left leg steps forward and the right leg steps back. Once again, legs are separated, hip width distance apart. You'll soften your front knee and raise the back ankle away from the floor. Hamstrings, glutes, and quads are all working to stabilize the knee in your lunge. You'll begin to hinge at the waistline, keeping your lower body still. Lean forward to a diagonal and sit up tall into neutral. Repeat 7 to 10 times, holding your lunge.
What is the rhythm of your breathing? How does the breath change as you move? Do you find yourself holding your breath or tension in a specific spot in your body? Bringing your breath and some tenderness to that area. Accommodate and make changes so that your style of breath is your choosing, not being chosen for you.
We'll move into seated hip hinges. With my knees bent and my arms extended out, I'll lean back to the point where I feel my abdominals engage. My spine stays in neutral as I lean back, and I'll sit back up. It's important to keep your feet planted on the floor and avoid shifting your knees, legs, or pelvis as you lift and lower your spine.
In self-compassion, we do not compare ourselves to others as we do in self-esteem. Self-esteem includes getting your self-worth from being better or worse off in comparison to others. Throughout this class, focusing on how you are doing, how you feel, and your own personal experience.
Russian twist. Optional progression is extending your legs out long, but you may keep your knees bent if that feels more stable for you. I'll hinge back again, holding that diagonal line from my tailbone to my head. My core stays active to stabilize my pelvis, and I'll begin to rotate my spine in both directions. I prefer my hands in front of my sternum here, with my thumb lightly pressed against my chest. Avoid letting the chin dip into the chest. Your gaze is right across the tips of your toes or knees if your knees are bent.
When we practice self-compassion, the pain might increase at first by opening up our hearts to ourselves. When we are vulnerable, we are opening ourselves up to great connection and healing. But at the same time, we are also opening ourselves up to the potential heartache that needs to be worked through. Self-compassion does not create that heartache. It is already there. Self-compassion gives it the opportunity to be acknowledged and healed.
Single leg stretch. Lay down with your knees bent in towards your chest. Your spine will be flat against the floor here. I'll begin to bend my right knee in and extend my opposite leg out. Once my left leg bends in, I'll switch to the other side. Optional progressions here are lifting my head, neck, and shoulders away from the floor, or also hovering my arms long outside my hips. You may also further the progression by extending the arms over the head as the legs bend and extend.
Focusing on how your thoughts, actions, and feelings affect you in the present moment, in the short run and in the future. We are planting the seed for a future of self-compassion. Sometimes the most compassionate thing to do is take a break from self-compassion and moving back to your breath. Creating that sense of safety through deep belly breaths. Your breath is always there for you. You are always breathing, and you always have the option to breathe with intention.
We'll move into modified plank with push-up. Transition to 4-point kneel position with your hands underneath your shoulders, outside your chest. You'll let the hips drop down to face the floor. My core stays active here. My spine stays neutral. My arms begin to bend, and my chest drops down towards the floor for my first push-up. Then I'll extend both arms so that they are long underneath my shoulders. For the entirety of the movement, my shoulders, my hips, and my knees are all on a diagonal plane. I'll continue bending and extending my elbows for 7 to 10 reps.
Noticing any aspects of this class that is challenging to you. Recognizing that we all experience challenges. That is part of the shared human experience. Feeling connected, not alone, through our communal experience of challenge, failure, and pain. A full life includes painful moments. Being compassionate to yourself through these painful times. For what is gained by beating yourself up when you are already down?
Forearm plank. Elbows anchor to the floor. Round the upper back slightly to protect the shoulders and extend one leg out, then the other leg to meet in that plank position. Tuck the tip of your tailbone underneath the hips to lengthen the low back. There is a horizontal line from the crown of your head down to your ankles. Modify by keeping the knees planted and letting your hips drop down to hover over the floor. Planking requires full body strength.
Allowing yourself to be in silence. Where does your mind begin to wander to in this moment of silence? Is it going where you want it to go? Or would you like your thoughts to move in a different direction? Now is a good time to get a water break, and when you are ready, join us for part 2 of Self-Compassion, a mind and body Pilates class.